So my name is Nina, and I'm a music therapist. I trained in the UK at the University of South Wales. Originally, I'm from Sweden, but I lived in the UK for 4 years, and now I'm practicing in India. I've been traveling back and forth to India for the past 12 years, and I'm practically Indian, but only since 1 year back I've been practicing as a music therapist here. And I just wanted to share some light on one aspect of music therapy that has only been briefly touched upon during the symposium. So at the symposium we've talked about the amazing and unique effect that music has on the brain, on emotions, on from a physical point of view, psychological point of view, etc. But we've mainly looked at the receptive aspect of music, how music receptively affects us. But the way that the school that I come from in music therapy, we work mainly interactive. It's all about the interactive music making. So when people ask me, what is music therapy or what is music? I always say that music is all about communication. Because something that Vino mentioned very briefly at the very start of this symposium was something about infant-directed speech. And what is infant-directed speech? Is how we speak to babies. And this is something that's universal. It doesn't matter which country or which culture, we would speak the same way. Oh, yes, yes, oh, such a good baby. We use a high pitch. We use our facial expressions. We mirror the child. Anyone here who has a baby or has any cuddle with a baby, they poke their tongue, you would poke your tongue. They open their mouth, you do the same. There's turn taking. The baby says, ah, and you say, ah, you respond. And it all comes intuitively. It's something we naturally do with babies. And actually, the baby is learning so much from this. What's happening here is they are laying the foundation for communication. Because if you're going to break down communication to its basic elements, what is there? We have pitch, we have rhythm, we have turn taking, we have timbre. What else is there in communication? Listening, silence. And how does this relate to music? All of that is there in music as well. The basic elements of communication, which is non-verbal, are there in speech as well as in music. And actually, with communication, only 7% of communication is words. Only 7%. The rest is non-verbal communication, our body language, and pitch, how we say something. The words really doesn't matter that much. So we are laying the foundation for the development of communication. And that is what we do in music therapy as well. And we use the word clinical improvisation, which means that in the musical moment, it's all improvised. So I don't have a set of music that this specific song is going to have this specific effect, because just as when you interact with a baby, it's all happening in the moment. The child would play something, I would respond intuitively to that. I would mirror the child, we would do turn taking. All of those elements of communication would be there. And this is especially true for, let's say, children with autism, because one of the reasons that they may not develop language is because they have been missing out on these interactive moments with their parents, because they are not motivated to do so, or because of the, communicative deficit that the autism implies. So we are recreating these moments in music therapy. And from this, the idea is that from that you can then develop language. And I actually read a really interesting study a while ago, where they were looking at how babies acquire language. So they did a test where they would expose American babies to Cantonese. So it's kind of like you had a Chinese relative coming over for a month. So for 1 month, this woman would speak in Cantonese to the babies. And they had 3 control groups. So one group, there was a actual person speaking to the babies in Cantonese. The second group, it was only a TV screen speaking to the babies. And the third one, it was only audio. And then after that, they looked at how much of Cantonese had these children acquired. And the babies who only listened to audio learned nothing. The one that had a TV screen learned nothing. The third group that actually had a human being interacting with them had actually the same level of Cantonese as babies at their same age, native Chinese babies. In just 1 month, they had acquired the same amounts of language, because the social brain needs to be activated in order to acquire language. And it's the same in music therapy. It has to stay interactive. It always has to stay interactive. And so that's why, for example, I could never do a music therapy session on Skype, because it wouldn't be the same interactiveness. And it's not only for children with autism that we work interactively. So I work in dementia care as well. And it wouldn't be as much improvised music in working with dementia, because you have to work with memory. You have to work with what they know to activate their brain. And I've come across so many cases with dementia clients who didn't know who they were, or where they were, but they could still remember music. So I always give this example. I had a client here in Hyderabad, actually, and I would ask her, "Aapka naam kya hai? What's your name?" And she wasn't able to respond. And I said, "Aapka manpasand gana kaun sa hai? And what's your favorite song?" And she said, "So Saal Pehle." And she could sing that flawlessly, because that part of the brain is still unimpaired, and she was able to reminisce and remember that song. But again, it's not only receptive. It's not me singing to the client. I always keep it interactive, and you can do that in so many ways. I mean, you can keep it quite simple. Let's say I do, "Pyar hua, ikrar hua hai, pyar se fir kyun darta hai." Exactly. So you keep it interactive. And even in palliative care, where people are at the last stages of their life, you can still keep it interactive by tuning into their breathing, because hearing is one of the last senses that leaves the body. So even in palliative care, people who are on their deathbed, they would still be able to appreciate music. So I would maybe sing a song at the tempo of their breathing. If they breathe slow, I play slow. If their heart rate goes up, the tempo of my song goes up, etc. So this is just a very short introduction to the importance of interactive music therapy that I wanted to share as an addition to this wonderful symposium. Thank you.